Turner Field in Atlanta, where the Phillies and the Braves are about ready to wrap up this 3-game series, and this is the rubber game. We've got a dark cloud overhead, and boy did it rain here yesterday. It really came down hard, and the game at the outset was delayed by 55 minutes, but we are definitely going to start on time here today. We only have 3 umpires today. Mark Hirschbeck took ill yesterday, so we've got Paul Schreiber working the plate today, and Jim Reynolds at first base with Matt Hallowell at third base. So it'll be like minor league baseball where they have to do a little running and cover for the other one. 85 degrees as we start the ball game here today. Humidity 63%, but for this time of the year in Atlanta, that's not too bad. And a forecast of partly cloudy skies. And that's the sun umbrella up here. National League East, the Braves are back to their 13.5 game lead after winning yesterday. That equals their biggest lead of the year. The Mets are trailing by 13. Then you've got Florida and Montreal in a tie at 16, and the Phillies 18.5 back. Braves are taking the field right now under Bobby Cox. Check out the Phillies starting lineup. Presented by Larry Boa. Here's Doug Glanville leading off for the second day in a row. He's in center. Jimmy Rollins, the shortstop, bats second. Bobby Abreu in right field hitting third. Pat Burrell, the cleanup hitter in left field. Scott Rowland bats fifth. He's at third base. Catcher Mike Lieberthal hits sixth. Batting seventh is Travis Lee, the first baseman. Number 8 hitter is Marlon Anderson at second base. Vincente Padilla will pitch for the Phillies, and the Phillies are facing Tommy Glavine.
Tommy Glavine, one of the best over the last 15 years in baseball. You see his record this year, 13-5 with a 2.6 ERA. Very good hits to innings pitched ratio. Left-handers hitting a little bit higher average than right-handers. And Tommy Glavine is 23-8 lifetime versus the Phillies, including 2-0 this year with a 1.3 ERA. Glavine has added a cut fastball this year where he'll throw that away to right-handers and inside to right-handers. Of course, he's known for a great changeup, and he always has that reliable sinker he plays keep away with versus the right-handers. And a very strong mind, stubborn individual on the mound who never gives in.
Well, all he is 100 games over 500 lifetime, 237 wins and 137 losses. And he has tailed off a little bit, but Joe, I gather that is because of that blister problem that bothered him there for a while.
In a game, Andy, versus the Mets on June 26th, he came up with a little bit of a blister on his index finger, and that has bothered him. As you can see those numbers in July, 2-2 and 5 starts with a 7.5 ERA. And in quite a few of those games, he had to leave in around the 4th or 5th inning because of that blister reoccurring.
Tommy to be a free agent this offseason, as is Greg Maddux, and everybody here in Atlanta is wondering, can this ball club re-sign both? That will be the developing off-season story here in Atlanta. John Shorholtz is the general manager. He's on the phone as always. Some of those GMs look like they have phones growing out their ears. Doug Glanville to lead it off. Doug batting at .222. Doug in the leadoff hole for the Phillies yesterday and had a long afternoon, took an 0 for 5. And a 174 lifetime average for him facing Tommy Glanville. Tommy Glavine. I'm picking that up from Larry Anderson. He always has trouble with these two. 8 hits and 46 at bats for Glanville. That ball is foul out of play down the right side.
Andy, another interesting note about Glavine, has not committed an error since 1999. Very good fielding pitcher.
And yet he can't get the Gold Glove because of his teammate Greg Maddux wins it every year.
Amazing.
Excellent athletes both. And that has been typical of the entire Braves pitching staff. Now that's typical of Glavine there to work outside, but he didn't get the expanded strike. I guess that one was a little bit too much to ask for, but he does ask for plenty out there. And a couple of years ago, when they started to re-emphasize the real strike zone, he was in trouble for a while. Glanville, looper, back as shortstop. It falls for a base hit. Glanville just loops it into short center, and he is a base runner for the Phillies.
Javi Lopez sitting outside. Glavine tries to throw a fastball away just to establish the outer half for the first batter of the game, and the ball cuts back over the middle.
So Glavine will work out of the stretch. Base stealers, by the way, 11 of 25 facing Glavine. Glanville has stolen 10 of 11 bases. Jimmy Rollins hitting at .242. There he goes. They throw to first. They've got him picked. Safe. He beat the relay throw. And the Braves fans don't like that one, but it's stolen base number 11 for Doug Glanville.
Tommy Glavine handles his own running game. One thing about his move to first base, it is a little slow because of the high leg kick. He did take his time releasing the ball to first base. That's the 11th stolen base against Glavine this year.
So Tommy will have to be aware of a guy at second base now. First pitch on the way to Rollins. He tries a bunt, pushed it too hard and also foul. Boyce Craig celebrating his 90th birthday in Manahawkin, New Jersey, from his family and friends and from us. Rollins been hurting for hits. He's just 3 for his last 37. Trying to be a little more selective at the plate. He has now walked in 4 of the last 6 games.
It's a good idea, Andy. He's trying to get that runner across. Phillies are trying to get an early run against Glavine.
Always a good idea. Jimmy takes a called strike as he shortens as if to bunt.
There's that fastball in. Backing up his first pitch changeup with a fastball in. Glavine has, over the last 2 or 3 years, thrown a lot more pitches in to right-handers.
It's like the light came on for him about the middle of last year when he started doing that. Pitch misses low. When he was struggling a year ago, John Smoltz sidled up to him on the bench one day and had a little heart-to-heart with him, and I think that helped.
I think Tommy was a little distraught by the umpires. He thought there was a vengeance against him about the new strike zone, and they weren't going to give him that ball width off the plate.
The 1-2 pitch is inside. There's an example of Glavine working inside.
Over the years, hitters are so used to tracking balls away off of him, looking in the outer half, leaning over, putting their head on the ball, covering the outer half, and this is a real good weapon for him, and a lot of times he will just lock right-handers up. They don't even attempt to swing.
Here's a bouncer on the right side that'll move the runner. Franco decides to take the play himself. Doug Glanville makes it to third base easily on that ground out by Jimmy Rollins, who got his job done.
That's exactly what Larry Bowa talks about when Glanville must do the little things to help his team win. It doesn't show up in the box score as a hit or a sacrifice, but you could see Rollins there going the other way, almost like a hit and run swing. Very good execution by Rollins.
Was Glavine a little bit late getting over to the bag because Franco looked like he wasn't going to go to the bag and then put on a burst? Bobby Abreu. Bobby in an RBI spot here. Braves will keep the infield back. Abreu hitting at .294 with 10 home runs. Bobby has become quite a selective hitter. He has 69 walks to rank 6th in the NL. And that's off the plate. Ball 1. 135 lifetime. Abreu against Glavine. He has 1 double in there among those 5 hits. Glavine rarely gets 90 on the radar gun. And there's one hopper back to the mound. That's exactly the kind of thing he was looking for, because Glanville can't come home on that one.
Andy, one of the best with runners in scoring position. A 144 average against Glavine with runners in scoring position. And here you see a fastball away. Abreu tries to roll it over, and as a result, comebacker right back to the mound.
And as you pointed out earlier, Tom Glavine fields his position very well. We saw Maddox yesterday doing that. Now Pat Burrell batting at .285. Off the end of his bat, a foul ball. Pat way up there in a lot of different categories. 3rd in the league in extra base hits. He has 50. 8th in the league in total bases, 207. And against left-handers, he leads the ball club, batting at 338. Glanville at third. Nicks the corner. 0-2 on Pat Burrell. Burrell hit by a pitched ball on Tuesday in Chicago. Matt Clement nailed him just above his left elbow, and he has not missed any action because of it, but you got to figure it's really sore. Outside, is he able to get the extension that he would like as a result of that sore arm?
I would think, Andy, that has to bother him a little bit, especially the last half of his swing. Right at the point of contact and after you make contact, to extend out.
He had a tough day here yesterday, striking out 4 of the 5 times he was at the plate. Inside corner, called, strike 3. So Tommy Glavine gives up a leadoff single and a stolen base, but gets out of it. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left on base. Phillies nothing, Braves coming up. Here's the way Bobby Cox lines up his Atlanta Braves today. Leading off, the shortstop RAFAEL FURCAL. Batting second, at first base, Matt Franco. Hitting third, the right fielder Gary Sheffield. Batting fourth, Chipper Jones in left. Batting fifth, the center fielder Andrew Jones. Batting sixth, at third base, Vinny Castilla. Batting seventh, the catcher Javier Lopez. Batting eighth, at second base, Keith Lockhart. Tommy Glavine is the Atlanta pitcher, and this lineup, of course, is facing Vincente Padilla.
Padilla in 21 starts, 10-6 with a 3.3 ERA. Very good innings to hits. Also walks and strikeouts very good. The left-handed average has been creeping up on him of late. 279 left-handers, 218 right-handers. His last win was June 24th at Florida. He's 0-1 with a 5.4 ERA in 3 starts since the All-Star break. And very consistent pitcher for the Phillies overall. Has pitched at least 6 innings in 18 of his 21 starts.
Big difference in his road starts as opposed to his home starts, even though he has 5 wins in both places. Phillies seem to be concerned now about his innings work. There's Chipper Jones with a happy look on his face. RAFAEL FURCAL to lead it off, batting at 279. Padilla pitched winter ball, so it's been a long time since he's had a break. And remember, as John Marzano mentioned in our opening, he came to camp trying out for the number 5 spot, so there was real pressure on him. You know, he had to work hard in spring training.
Yeah, it really was a tryout for him. Every time he went out there, he was being evaluated in spring training, and he just pitched better than anybody else on the staff. Just lights out.
6'2", 200 pounds, only 24 years of age. 2 balls and 1 strike on FURCAL, who is 2 for 9 in the series, and a guy you definitely want to keep off the base paths. He scored a lot of runs. He leads Atlanta in hits with 118. Here's a bouncer to Rollins. Jimmy makes a strong throw, and FURCAL is out number 1. Let's take a look at our Pico Energy Power Rankings in the major leagues. National League tie between Lance Berkman and Sammy Sosa at 31. Major League leader is Alex Rodriguez at 34. Jim Thome has 30. Rodriguez had 2 home runs in last night's Texas game, including a walk-off grand slam. He was 27 years of age yesterday. Matt Franco to lead to bat second here for the Braves, hitting at 367. Here's another guy that had a little pressure on him in spring training. He was a non-roster player, as a matter of fact. But he's come on to get into the first base mix. They don't have a platoon at first base. They have a rotation. And he gets a base hit. Single to right field for Matt Franco. And you talked about the left-handed batter starting to damage Padilla a little bit. Is that because he doesn't throw as many breaking balls to lefties?
Yeah, I think because he will learn eventually that the soft away hard in game works well against left-handers. You just can't keep throwing the same speed time after time. Left-handers love to reach out over the plate and whack that fastball, and you do have to make a commitment to them to throw some soft pitches.
The other Franco, Julio, he also is in that first base rotation, as is Wes Helms. Here's Gary Sheffield. The story on Gary is reaching base in 52 consecutive games. That's an Atlanta club record. Old record held by Dale Murphy. Sheffield hitting at .296. Blowing away a player who can wait on a pitch and then still swing that bat and hit the ball as hard as anybody I can name.
Damaging, very damaging hitter. And Sheffield is 5 for 10 off of Padilla.
Inside, you wouldn't teach a batter to waggle the bat the way he does, but it works for Gary.
Yeah, some people, Andy, are gifted with such athletic ability, such as Sheffield or a Dick Allen, a Juan Gonzalez, who waved that bat above their head.
Right down the middle for a strike. Sheffield, a .295 lifetime hitter off Phillies pitching with 18 home runs. Gary's been around a bit now. Been with the Dodgers and the Marlins and, of course, the Padres and the Milwaukee Brewers. There's one of those wicked swings, and that ball is going down the right field line and landing in the stands foul. Neither team was able to take batting practice today. They had their annual camera day on the field here before the ball game, so the Phillies just came out and suited up and playing the ball game, and the same with the Braves. Braves stay home. They're in the midst of a 9-game homestand. That's his career batting with 333 lifetime home runs. 2-ball, 2-strike count. Fly ball right field. Long run for Abreu. There. Sheffield flies to right for out number 2. That'll bring up Chipper Jones. Chipper hit a home run here yesterday. He hadn't hit one for quite a while. The last home run for him prior to yesterday was July 13th. Chipper with .306 with 11 homers for the year. That power number really down. Same for his runs batted in. Chipper Jones averages 32 home runs a year over his career. He's not going to get there this year.
The home run yesterday came on a backdoor curveball from Joe Roa, and I believe Chipper went up there and sat soft the first pitch.
And here's a line drive out into right field that's not hit all that hard, but it sure put it in the right spot. Matt Franco makes it to third base on a single by Chipper Jones, and it's first and third with 2 out. It wasn't hit hard enough to split the gap, even though it was in the gap. It couldn't get through to the wall.
Andy, another fastball. You see Lieberthal setting up away, sinker out over the plate. And Chipper always has been a real good fastball hitter on the outer half, especially left-handed.
Andrew Jones bats now. He is the home run and RBI leader of these Braves. With 23 homers, he is 8th in the league. Chipper at first. And here's Andrew Jones. Big swing, foul right at the plate. By the way, say goodbye to the retro uniforms today. They've had it for the Braves and the Phillies. The Braves have been wearing theirs for 10 days now. They wore them in Philadelphia last weekend and then in their series at Florida. They'll be phased out after today, as will the Phillies powder blue. Kind of a tear in your eye there, isn't it, Joe?
Reminds me of the 70s. It sure does.
It sure does. The Phillies wore those uniforms in 1980. And I'm lucky enough to be wearing a ring from that year. Look out. Head high at Andrew. He took a seat in a hurry.
I think that ball might have grazed his face.
Ooh. Ouch. Or maybe it hit the helmet and that knocked the helmet into his face.
Very, very fortunate.
Let's take a look.
Oof. Maybe a better shot from this angle. Oh, it did graze him.
Just grazed him, yeah.
He's very fortunate to get out of the way of that ball.
Oh, boy. So that means the bases will be loaded when Andrew takes first base, and Vinny Castilla will get a shot here with the bases loaded.
It's always a scary moment when you see that, Andy, especially when you're sitting on the bench.
You bet.
Whether it be a line drive back to the pitcher that gets hit in the facial area, or someone in the box, in the hitter's box, that gets hit in the head. Either team, you don't really care at that moment when you see something like that. No matter what uniform you're wearing, you just hate to see that on either side.
And that, I believe, is the reason that Vern Rule is visiting the mound now, because it upsets a pitcher when he does that.
It sure does. I mean, they're human beings like anybody else, and that's a lethal weapon in their hands when you throw the ball up in that head area.
Well, it gives the Braves a very quiet, bases loaded situation. 2 singles and a hit batter. And Vinny Castilla comes up there. 2 outs in the inning. They are jammed. Vinny hitting at .240 with 9 homers and 47 driven in. Padilla is going to work from the full windup. What's the rule on that, Joe? Whatever is comfortable for you?
I think so at this moment. Vern might have gone out and said, hey, you're up a little bit. You're a little flat from the stretch. Maybe we ought to just switch off here and go back to the windup.
One-0 pitch. Just off the plate. 2 balls and no strikes to Castilla, and of course there's no room for him. 4 career grand slams for Vinny. I'll bet you a bunch of them came at Coors Field.
And a bunch of fastballs.
Oh yeah, he loves that, doesn't he? And he got one, but he didn't get it. He missed it.
It was one of his best fastballs of the game so far. Padilla 2-0. Try to keep the ball away from him. Vinny pulls off just enough to miss the ball.
Castilla's a .270 lifetime hitter against the Phillies. He's done some real damage against the Phillies. He chases another one that was out of the strike zone. 2-2.
Another fastball up and away. And usually when you throw the ball up in the zone, hitters have a little harder time getting on top of that pitch. Swings underneath the ball.
On the ground. Phillies should be out of it. Marlon Anderson over to Rollins, and the force out ends the inning. So the Braves leave them loaded. No runs. 2 hits. 3 men left on base. At the end of 1 inning, it is scoreless. It's Chrysler Jeep dealer, and there's a look at that bobbing head. So put it on your schedule to come on out and let Harry know how much he means to you. Plan it now. Call 215-463-1000. Order anytime online at Phillies.com.
Andy, I saw where the advanced ticket sales were very good for that date.
I don't wonder.
Promotion.
That's a great promotion. Well, it's been a rough couple of days for Andrew Jones. Here's Scott Rowland to lead off the second for the Phillies. Andrew had to leave yesterday's game because of dizziness, and now here he is getting nicked in the face by a pitched ball. Scott Rowland, of course, rumored to be on the way out of town. Of course, that rumor's been going on since before spring training, since the offseason, but it seems to be heating up because the trading deadline without waivers is Wednesday night. And the scouts are here taking a look. 1 ball and 1 strike on Scotty, hitting at .259. Meantime, he keeps chugging along, and Rowland's been over the last 25 ball games has picked up the pace. He's hitting .323 over that span. Glavine missing. 2 balls and 1 strike.
You know, Andy, when he throws his fastball, he'll throw some almost change-ups off his fastball. He'll throw one fastball at 86 and then another one at 84, and then he'll use 2 different speeds on his change-up also.
Almost unfair. There's a strike on the outside corner. 2-2.
There's a 79-mile-an-hour change-up there. He throws one in about 81, 82. Let's see if he tries to lock Rolling up inside here like he did Pat Burrow. Now he's gone away.
And he just missed his spot. That has been called a strike for Glavine at times.
That's his new pitch, Andy. That's that backdoor cutter where he starts it off the plate. Tries to break it almost around the plate.
Facing a full count here. Out of play. Glavine, though left-handed, is sort of like a Greg Maddux in a way. They pitch the same styles. Neither one of them, as the old expression goes, can break a pane of glass, but They're students of the game, and they both work hard at their profession.
Tom Glavine, for the last 15 years, has made a living off the lack of intelligence of the hitter.
Ball hit in the air to left center, but there's some hang time here as Chipper goes back. And it's gone. Chipper thought he had a play on the ball, but he does not. Scott ROLEN has hit number 17, and the Phillies grab a 1-0 lead.
ROLEN got a changeup, and I believe Glavine got a little bit too much of the plate. There was one of those 80-mile-an-hour changeups. ROLEN sat back very well on that ball. See, a lot of hitters in that situation will roll that pitch over, but there it is. There's the changeup. Cuts a little bit too much. Well, Glavine actually cuts back towards the hitter. And ROLEN, a very good low pitch hitter. Real good low swing path.
So Scotty celebrates his uniform number. That was his 17th home run. Mike Lieberthal takes outside. Lieberthal has hurt Glavine in the past, a .343 lifetime average against him, as Scott gets congratulations all the way around. Glavine has yielded only 16 home runs all year. That in 147 2/3 innings of work. Away, 2 balls and 1 strike on Lieberthal. Catching today. You might wonder why Mike's not getting a day off here, but Phillies have off tomorrow, and yesterday was a day game, so he should be refreshed. Ball in the air to left field. Chipper Jones will have a play on this one for sure, and there's the first out. 16 home runs allowed by Glavine. That is high on the Atlanta pitching staff. Good number of them, I'll bet, come with the bases empty, though, huh?
I'm sure they do, because he is one tough customer with runners in scoring position, like we said earlier. Never gives in.
Leo Mazzoni, the Braves pitching coach, in his usual rocker. Here's Travis Lee batting .256. Travis is fooled by the changeup.
I think it was Leo Mazzoni who said he would not give in to his own grandmother.
Travis Lee has had some success off Glavine. That's why he's in there today. Felt high strike. 0-2 on Travis. Marlon Anderson waiting. Just missed. 406 feet on the home run by Scott ROLEN. Second homer of the series for the Phillies. They didn't have any yesterday, but Jimmy Rollins won the game with a home run on Friday night. The only homer yesterday was hit by Chipper Jones, and that's the Braves' only homer in this series. 2-2, Travis Lee.
Like we said, Glavine has almost added a new pitch this year, a new toy with that cut fastball or a little slider that he throws.
Got him on a fastball. Second strikeout for Glavine, out number 2 in the inning. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Phillies and may not be reproduced nor retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Phillies. Glavine will now face Marlon Anderson.
There's a great example of how Glavine can carve a hitter up. Travis Lee, 4 soft pitches in a row away, then a busted fastball in with 2 strikes.
Marlon hits it hard to the gap in left field, and Chipper's not going to be able to cut it off. It goes through to the wall. Marlon has himself a stand-up double. Marlon really does his best hitting in the daytime. A .345 daytime hitter, 10th in the National League.
Here's the pitch by Glavine. It's supposed to be a little cut fastball away, and Tommy's just trying to throw a first pitch strike there, outer half. He wants to try to keep his lineup in order, and that, I mean, he wants to get that out there so the pitcher can lead off the inning. And of course, Anderson's job is to roll the lineup over.
He has done that. Here is Vincente Padilla, who has 2 hits this year, batting .056. Makes a strike. Padilla, a 100 lifetime hitter with 4 hits. That second strikeout by Glavine is interesting because compared to his last start in Florida, that's 2 more than he had then. He went 5 1/3 innings and won the ball game, but had no strikeouts. 0-2 on Padilla.
Change up to a pitcher. It's almost not fair. Pitchers used to have that union where they used to take care of each other, give each other fastballs.
Not with a runner on second.
Not Mr. Glavine.
And that runner on second is Marlon Anderson. 2 outs. Scott Rolen's homer has given the Phillies a 1-0 start. A little nubber. Glavine will make the play barehanded, takes his time and throws over to first. Padilla is out. And so are the Phillies, but not before grabbing the lead on the 406-foot home run by Scott Rolen. 2 hits in the inning. 1 man left on base. So we go to the bottom half of the second inning. 1-0 Phillies.
19 were fastballs. I think you might see him try to mix it up a little better here as we go along. You get your feet wet in the first inning, just establish your delivery, get into the flow of the game.
Does he not have more confidence in his breaking ball?
You know, at times this year he's had a very good breaking ball, but I don't think it's a quality breaking ball yet, but I think he has the potential to have a good breaking ball.
Javier Lopez back in the lineup for the first time since a week ago today at Veterans Stadium when he hurt his arm. Making a snap throw down to first base, he hurt his right shoulder. And during that time, the backup catcher for the Atlanta Braves, Henry Blanco, did a nice job. Javier had a cortisone shot in that shoulder. There was a certain feeling that they were going to have to, there's Henry Blanco, they were going to have to disable Javier, but he fought it off and is able to get back in there today. 1 ball, 1 strike on him. 9 lifetime home runs off Phil's pitching. He's a dangerous hitter, though he doesn't hit for a high average any longer. Right off the mask of Levy. Ooh. Let's take a look at what that play last Sunday. He throws behind the hitter down to first and winces in pain immediately.
You know, Andy, he never got his shoulder turned in towards the bag at first base, and I believe he threw that ball somewhat open-chested.
1-2 is fouled off. Bottom third of the order here. The Braves left the bases loaded in the first inning. They struggled in that category yesterday. You know, the Braves had a dozen base runners stranded yesterday and winning that game 5-3 over the Phillies, but it could have been a rout if they'd had some key hits in spots where they had men on base. 2-2.
Well, right off the bat here, the first hitter of this inning, I know Levy's trying to get his slider going a little bit. He's thrown Javi Lopez 2 sliders here.
Way outside. Full count.
You know, as a catcher, when you set up in, and Padilla has pretty good control, you set up in, you expect that ball to be somewhere around that location where you're setting up, and then he pulls a fastball like that outside. There's not really a whole lot you can do as a catcher.
Yeah. Hit him. He's hit by a pitch. Would have been ball 4 if he hadn't been hit. So Lopez becomes the second hit batter for the Braves today, and that's going to make a few people unhappy. Alumni Batting Challenge Friday, August 16th at 6:30. Mike Schmidt, Greg Luzinski, and Tug McGraw take on Darren Dalton, John Kruk, and Milt Thompson in this year's Batting Challenge. A great pregame event is planned before the Phillies take on the Cardinals, so plan to come early. Order tickets at 215-463-1000 or anytime online at Phillies.com. Here's Keith Lockhart. He's been struggling for hits lately. He's 1 for his last 21. And that 1 hit, though, was a big one yesterday. It was a triple, and that was turned into a run for Atlanta.
That was Padilla's 8th hit batsman of the year.
Getting up there. That's among the league leaders, right?
Leads the Philly staff. Let's see if Levy could set up a way and Padilla throw a nice little sinker here. We get a ground ball.
And he falls behind Lockhart 3-0. In this series, the Phillies pitchers have issued 15 walks. The Braves pitchers have issued 5. Ball 4. 4 consecutive pitches out of the zone, and the Braves have 2 on without a hit. Tommy Glavine will be up there to move him along, and he's good at that. He's 3rd in the league in sacrifices. They're going to go look at Padilla and trainer Jeff Cooper coming along, so this is not a good sign.
Yeah, and he just doesn't look right out there. I know his velocity's down into the mid 80s, 86 to 88 miles an hour. His pitches are lacking crispness. His arm speed just doesn't seem right.
Joe, I brought it up earlier. We never really had a chance to talk about it, but the concern with the Phillies over his innings worked because of his pitching in the offseason so much. I think the Phillies have been genuinely concerned about that.
You see the last pitch here, very uncharacteristic, up flat fastball, not much sink to it, just a little side-to-side movement. Usually that tells you that a pitcher is not getting his fingers on top of the ball.
He's also had some back problems, a stiff back, but he obviously here has convinced them that he is okay, and will stay in to face Glavine, who will bunt. I'm sure he's with 9 sacrifices, 3rd in the league in that category. Tommy also a pretty good hitter, 189 lifetime.
Phillies try to put the wheel on here. He will swing.
Deadens the ball on the ground. Scott ROLEN looked at 3rd, takes the out at 1st. Scott on that ball in a hurry, but that was an excellent bunt by Tommy Glavine.
Glavine does a lot of the little things right that you see from pitchers. Good pickoff move, fields the position well, good bunter, handles the bat, can move a runner over.
By 4 on the sacrifice, with Anderson taking the throw at first. So 2 runners in scoring position now with 1 out. Leadoff man RAFAEL FURCAL. He grounded to Rollins his first time up. FURCAL with 32 runs batted in. Phillies playing the infield a little short on the left side as FURCAL takes outside. Runners on 3rd, less than 2 outs. Pretty good job for him. Two balls and no strikes.
You know, Andy, I'm not a radar gun guy, and I don't believe in it. But one of the ways the gun can help you is when you see a pitcher like this. You see the variations in his fastball speeds, 86 to 93.
A little chopper in the infield. Braves are going to get the tying run. The out made at first. Crossing the plate is Javier Lopez, and we have a 1-1 game. RBI number 33 for RAFAEL FURCAL.
One of the things you do when you get runners in scoring position as a hitter, you take a look at the defense before you step in the box. You know what you have to do. Hey, all I have to do is hit a ground ball up the middle here as a hitter, and I produce a run. I think a lot of hitters don't take that little thought process before they get in the box and say, okay, there's the defense. Let me see what I have to do here.
Over at 3rd base now is Lockhart. Matt Franco in the box, and he takes a breaking ball. It missed. 1 ball, no strikes on Franco, who singled his first time up. So there have been a lot of base runners for the Braves. They left them loaded in the 1st, and they had 2 more runners here. And that one he got over. Relying more on that breaking ball now, and he got a strike with it.
Yeah, Franco hit a fastball the first time up in the hole, and now you see back-to-back breaking balls. Hey, catchers and pitchers, they got memories. You know what the guys hit last time up.
Two and 1. Phillies, of course, have had trouble with runners in scoring position all year, and today the Phillies are 0 for 4 and the Braves are 0 for 2, and we're awful early in this game. A little low. 3 balls and a strike to Franco. Franco at one time a top pinch hitter for the New York Mets, but he did not play Major League Baseball last year. second walk of the inning, plus the hit batter. It's a dangerous man up there with 2 aboard. Padilla now has to deal with Gary Sheffield.
Sheffield, one of the best hitters in the National League with runners in scoring position.
Indeed he is. .341, 10th in the NL. Sheffield homered in all 3 games of the opening weekend series down here in Atlanta. The Phillies and the Braves opened the season. That was his home run swing for sure.
Sheffield, after seeing 5 straight fastballs the first time up, gets a slider here on the first pitch. I think Sheffield might have been guessing fastball there.
It sure looked like it. Sheffield on base in 52 consecutive games. Here's a ground ball to second. He won't reach here. And the Phillies are out of the inning with no further damage. Here in the second, the Braves do manage to tie the ball game without benefit of a hit. 1 run, no hits, and 2 men left on base. After 2, it's a 1-1 game. Stump the Fans trivia question. Log on to Phillies.com. If you're the first to correctly answer, you'll win 2 tickets to a Phillies game. Please submit your answer in the subject area, and you must leave your name and address to receive your prize. The question is, who is the only player to ever pinch hit for the great Hank Aaron? The answer and winner will be named in the 7th inning. So our game is tied now as we move to the top half of the 3rd inning, and the Phillies are at the top of the order and a young fan on hand. It's a nice warm day here in Atlanta today. They had their camera day promotion. Fans were permitted down on the field before the game. Here's Glanville. Doug led off the game today with a single. Later picked up a stolen base. And Glavine starts him with a breaking ball.
You know, Andy, this is a very fan-friendly stadium.
Oh, you bet it is.
Plenty of room in the concourses to have a plaza in center field. People can walk around. They have bands out there.
Nice Hall of Fame area where you can go back and see about Braves history.
They did it right here.
This, of course, was built for the Olympics, but they knew what they were doing at the time, that it was going to be converted into a baseball park. So they built it that way, as opposed to Olympic Stadium in Montreal, which was later converted.
You saying they didn't know what they were doing in Montreal?
It sort of came out that way, didn't it? Well, let's just be honest. It didn't turn out to be a very good baseball park. Glanville puts a charge into 1 to left field. It is gone. Doug Glanville with homer number 17, and the Phillies now lead it 2-1.
Doug Glanville with his 3rd home run of the season. Glavine had started hitting him off with change-up, 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 and then I think he tried to come inside with a cutter. And sometime there it is. You see the catcher setting up inside, and I think Tommy's trying to cut this ball in, and it doesn't quite finish the cut. It started to, but it just stayed there.
Glanville's 3rd home run. Jimmy Rollins, who grounded to first, is up there now, and the Phillies, both their runs are on solo homers today. Scott ROLEN with the other one.
I think Glavine liked to have that pitch back.
I'll bet. Here's a pop-up, and there's going to be a play. Franco is over, shielding his eyes. And there's the first out of the inning. Matt Franco catching the ball off the bat of Jimmy Rollins.
You don't see Tommy Glavine give up too many 0-2 or 1-2 home runs. One of the abilities that the Braves starting pitchers and their whole staff has is to finish hitters off. They really know how, when they get a hitter down with 2 strikes, to put them away.
Bobby Abreu grounded back to the mound first time up. You notice it was May 11th when Glanville last hit a home run. Bobby, thinking about bunting, takes a strike. On this trip, Abreu was hit safely in 5 of the 6 games. 382 feet on the home run by Glanville. 1-1. Happy 86th birthday to Millie Zazoff of Philadelphia. Two balls and a strike on Abreu. Sharply foul out of play. Phillies and the Braves have been drawing good crowds in this series. They had on Friday night almost 45,000, and yesterday just over 43,000. Two home runs in the game given up by Glavine. He gave up 3 homers against Montreal back on the 17th of July, and then he gave up none in his next 2 starts. Now that's when he counts on, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the old Atlanta Braves strike. Set up off the plate, throw it to the catcher, center of his body. Might be a ball whip, 2 ball whips off the plate, but for years they used to get that pitch. It's part of their program, and they had trained the umpires to call that pitch.
Abreu just sticks the bat out and destroys the pitch. Abreu, a 135 lifetime hitter, facing Glavine.
You know, Andy, I give them a lot of credit. It's a system that has worked now for 11 years. Their catchers are very good presenters of the ball. They don't try to frame it. They don't try to pull it back in. They quietly present the ball to the umpire.
A little topper towards second base. Lockhart has it. Throws out Bobby Abreu. There were 2 outs in the inning. Does that business of framing the ball, does that work sometimes?
Andy, I think what you try to teach catchers to do is just to present the ball properly. Catch the ball out front. Just hold it there for a split second so the umpire gets a good look in order for him to make the call. I know most umpires would tell you that's the way they prefer a catcher to catch the ball. And like we said yesterday, if you're a starting catcher, you're going to catch 15 to 20,000 pitches a year. And if you're a good presenter of the ball, you're going to get 400 or 500 extra strikes during the course of the season.
Outside to Pat Burrell, who was called out on strikes first time up. We mentioned at the time that Pat struck out 4 times yesterday. One of them was a caught looking, and he struck out once here on Friday night. 2-0.
The other thing that Braves catchers do very well, and they've done this for a long time, starting with way back to even Charlie O'Brien, is that once the pitcher starts his delivery, they are very quiet. They don't move a muscle. Because when you're a pitcher and you're in the middle of your delivery, you do not want to see any movement on the target to which you're trying to make the pitch.
Javier Lopez working for the first time in a week today. The Phillies, if they have a chance, might try to run on him, and they did pick up 1 stolen base today. Doug Glanville got it in the first inning. Pause here for station identification. This is the Phillies Television Network.
You're watching UPN 57 WPSG TV in Philadelphia.
3-1 on Burrell. Missed outside. Glavine issues his first walk of the afternoon, a 2-out walk to Burrell. And he will now have to face Scott ROLEN, who nailed a home run last time up. Here it is.
Here's that low changeup that cuts back towards ROLEN. And you know what, Andy, like we said, it didn't look like a home run swing, but this man is so strong. He can hit a changeup over 400 feet.
You got to be strong. It didn't sound like a home run either.
No, it did not.
But it was a home run, and the Phillies will gladly accept it. Scotty's 17th of the year. Glavine missing here. ROLEN picking up his 2nd career home run off Glavine. Scott hitting well over 300 off Tom. Away.
You know, it's amazing. ROLEN hits a changeup for a home run. First 2 pitches next at bat are fastballs.
Yeah. Well, that's.
I mean, if you watch the game and pay attention to it, there's so many subtle things that happen during the course of the game. That little game within a game they play between the pitcher and and the catcher and the hitter.
Well, isn't that the great thing about baseball, that it can be accepted on so many different levels? I mean, it's a really simple game that can get quite complex when you start breaking it down the way you professionals do.
That's the beauty of it. You try to figure those things out.
3-0 now on ROLEN.
Glavine's working about 2 ball whisks off the plate, and he will not give in. I mean, Tommy will go to there's bases loaded before he gives in, and even then he might not give in.
3-0. Gets the automatic strike. Glavine has fallen behind 3 of the 5 hitters this inning. Got an old friend in the booth here today, Kevin Barnes, feeding me some information. Kevin and I have been working together for 30 years probably. Basketball, baseball. Ball 4. Another close one. We'll get the party started on Monday, August 19th. The Phillies Festival, on-field fun and activities, photo and autograph booths, live and silent auctions, dunk tank, moon bounce, plus special guests like Hall of Famer Ozzie Smith, who gets inducted today. Darren Dalton will be there as well, all for a good cause, the ALS Association Greater Philadelphia Chapter. Tickets on sale. For information and to order, call 215-463-1000 now. Greg Luzinski will be in an autograph booth that night. Mike Lieberthal takes a strike.
Andy, the Phillies have done a good job getting Glavine's pitch total up. This will be his 60th pitch, and we're not out of the 3rd inning yet. So they've done a good job working Glavine in the count.
Glavine went 5 1/3 innings in that victory over Florida on Tuesday, and normally these Braves starters take you a little bit longer than that. Greg Maddux went 5 2/3 innings here yesterday.
100 pitches.
That's like a signal to take him out, isn't it?
Yeah. And these guys are getting a little older now. They got to have a little more protection for them. Maybe their average pitches per start will come down, maybe by 4 or 5, 6 a game.
And a little heat on the umpire.
I wonder what took so long.
Yeah. How come Bobby's got his cap on? Usually when he shouts out at the umpire, he takes that cap off.
Well, obviously, Mr. Schreiber behind the home plate hasn't been trained in the Atlanta school of the strike zone yet. And he's a young umpire and really probably hasn't worked too many of the Atlanta Braves games. So the Braves really haven't trained this guy yet.
Pickoff play at second. Got him. Pat Burrell is picked off second base. Tommy Glavine gets out of trouble that way. A perfect timing play. Let's take a look at that one again as the Phillies take the lead on the home run by Doug Glanville. And as a result, only 1 man left on base. Phillies are ahead 2-1. Them lately, and they are some great people. I'd like to salute my friends at Penn Distributors, Matt Funchen, John Dawson, John Dorenzi, and the Gretz Beer Company, Rob Gretz, Mike Gretz, Howard DeMarco, and all the rest. They just do a fantastic job. If you get a Bud Light in the Philadelphia area, it will be fresh and it will be cold. They do a nice job for my funny little beer out of San Francisco, too. That's how I've gotten to know them. Chipper Jones to lead off the 3rd. Phillies back in front again by a run. Chipper singled first time up.
Andy Padilla with 42 pitches after 2 innings. Let's see if he can have a quick inning here to get his pitch total under control.
That would be nice for him. And the Braves, of course, by the same token, would like to get him out of the ball game, knowing that he is the Phillies' top winner with 10 and the kind of year he has had. Padilla 1-1 lifetime against these Braves with a 1.50 earned run average coming in. 1-1 to Chipper. He'll be followed by Andrew Jones and Vinny Castilla.
First changeup of the game by Padilla. That was his best fastball of the game, Andy. 95 miles an hour. That ball had some juice on it.
It did. Low and inside. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Another 95. He's starting to loosen up.
Yeah, that's a good sign.
His presentation, his body language looks a lot better on the mound.
Fouled away. You know, one of the things with Padilla, of course, is the communication problem. I mean, he's learning the language, but you know, you have trouble getting into the finer points with him sometimes.
Andy, in Boston, we had a Korean, Japanese, Venezuelan,
wow,
French Canadian, Cormier,
right,
Dominican Republic. I got a translator, one of those electronic translators. I did.
Did you really?
I could punch in a word and it would come out in Korean or Japanese.
And the guy they couldn't understand, of course, was Marzano, because he's from South Philly, right? Is that in there?
You got to pay extra for that translator.
Full count now. Chipper fouls it back. Big day for Harry Callis going in the Hall of Fame today, and kind of a nice day for Musser too, because my son lives here in Atlanta and he's in the booth right now with his wife and my little granddaughter, Alyssa. Ball 4, and was that a close pitch? Just a tad low, I guess. But Padilla's third walk, and that along with 2 hit batters, so he has pitched the entire game seemingly out of the stretch.
He tried to lock Chipper up inside there a few times. Chipper put a good at bat on him, fouled some good pitches.
Andrew Jones, and that was a scary moment in the first at bat. We mentioned it's been a tough weekend for Andrew. He had to leave yesterday's game because of a dizzy spell. He might be dizzy again after that. Now, will Padilla be reluctant to come inside after making that mistake?
You know, we'll find out. He's going to have to come in if he's going to use that slider away like he did the first pitch. He's going to have to come in sometime during the count.
So far, first 2 pitches have both been way away.
Both sliders.
Time called. Here comes Marlon Anderson in to have a word with Padilla. This could be defensive as much as anything, to talk about who's going to cover.
I mean, when you're on the mound, Andy, you got to think, hey, this guy can hit a fastball BB right back at my head, so I got to put that out of my mind the next time up.
There's one right down the middle. 2 balls and a strike on Andrew Jones.
I'll tell you, the hitter's a little reluctant to stay in there after he gets nailed right in the noggin the first time up.
Boy, that's no wonder. Ball 3, 3-1. Not missing by a whole lot, at least not on that one. The first 2 pitches were well out of the zone.
Here's a pretty good pitch here. Lieberthal setting up outer half. There's that pitch they ball low. That pitch is supposed to be at the hollow of the knee, which is just below the kneecap, and they ball that pitch.
Ground ball to shortstop. There's one. There's the other one. Andrew Jones rolling into a double play, and you talk about Padilla trying to keep the pitch count down. That will help. Base is empty, 2 out.
Nice little 6-4-3 tailor-made double play. Fastball right on the outer third. Jones rolls it over, and it's a thank you very much. Boy, I'll tell you, when you see that happen on the mound, you feel like a new man. It kind of gives you new energy when you're on the mound.
A real pick-me-up. Vinny Castilla to bat now. He's 0 for 1, grounding into a fielder's choice. And there's that first pitch swinging at the fastball that Vinny is so well known for.
If you weren't with us Friday night, we talked about Vinny leading the National League in swinging at the first pitch 51% of the time and only hanging around for 3 pitches per at bat.
Well, it's only 2 pitches this time. Ground ball to Marlon Anderson. Vinny is out, and so are the Braves in the 3rd inning. No runs, no hits, and nobody left. Thanks to Joe Kerrigan for joining us here. John Marzano will be along when we come back in the 4th. Phillies up 2-1. Serving Philly announcer Harry Callis goes to the Hall of Fame today in Cooperstown, New York. Harry's been up there since Thursday, I believe, and anxious to talk with him when he gets back. I'm sure he's having just the time of his life. We're going to try to intersperse some of the remarks that Harry makes in his acceptance speech today a little later on in the telecast, so stick around for that if you will. Well, John Marzano's alongside as promised. We're going to try to understand John.
Talking about my South Philly accent, huh?
Yeah, we ran your name out there. Mike Lieberthal to lead it off. He flied to 7, flied to left field. That's a number 7 in your scorebook first time up.
You sound like you're from South Philly with that.
Well, I've been there a few times. That's where they built the ballpark, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right in your backyard. John and Joe Kerrigan both are doing a lot of work in South Philly these days because that's where Comcast has its studios for the post-game show. And we kind of rated that post-game show for our weekend here in Atlanta. Appreciate you guys helping out.
Oh, it's a lot of fun for me to do. I really appreciate getting the opportunity to do it.
Fouled away by Mike. Talking about Tommy Glavine now, of course, you're a former Major League catcher, and did you ever catch anybody anywhere near like him?
Jamie Moyer throws a little bit like him. They got the same composure out there. They like to work the outside corner of the plate, and then when they get ahead, they try to come in with fastballs, and that's what he seems like he's doing today.
And doing more this year than he ever did. That was not a part of Glavine's game plan in the past.
Well, it seems like he's a little bit frustrated today because they're not giving him the outside corner, which he loves to have. And, you know, it seems like the umpire's squeezing both Padilla and him today. And when Glavine's not getting that outside pitch, it makes it tough for him to pitch the way he likes to. He likes to get 4 to 5 inches off the plate, and he's definitely not getting it today.
So he couldn't retire Lieberthal when he was up there last inning, so he turned around and picked Burrell off second base. High chopper off the plate. Oh, what a pickup by Castilla. And scooped out at first, but tried to scoop it out. Franco couldn't come up with it. Safe at first base will be Lieberthal. Well, there was a nice stop by Castilla, but then he didn't throw. He didn't take time to make a good throw.
You know, this play doesn't make sense to me. He has Lieberthal running. All he has to do is set his feet and make the throw. Instead, he tries to throw an off-balance throw. He had him out by 5 steps, and if he turns his body, he makes an easier throw to first base instead of throwing off balance.
That'll be an error, a throwing error on Vinny Castilla. And when you see a play like that, you realize how fortunate the Phillies are to have Travis Lee picking them out of the dirt over there at first base.
Travis Lee is a Gold Glove first baseman in my eyes this year. He picks everything down there at first base.
Travis struck out his first time up and takes a called strike.
It gives your infielders so much more confidence when you have a first baseman who could pick everything over there, and he just has such great footwork around the bag that it makes your middle infielders and your third baseman more confident in making throws to first base.
This error by Castilla is the Braves' 3rd error of this series. That is one area where the Phillies are much better than the Braves. The Phillies are 2nd in the National League in fielding percentage, and the Braves are middle of the pack. Now, they've been fielding better lately, but early in the year, that was part of their downfall when they did not get a good start.
Yeah, they were struggling defensively, but they seem to pull it all together lately.
One of the guys who really cut down on his miscues was FURCAL. The shortstop was having a lot of troubles in the early part of the year.
Well, a lot of guys that are great athletes, they can make the tough play, and then the easy play, they tend to lose focus. And sometimes when guys are such great glove men that they lose focus on easy plays and make bad throws.
Glavine stays away from Travis here, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike.
You know, Glavine sometimes can get into rhythms where he throws the same pitch at the same count, and that's what hitters have to look for, and that's why Glanville hit the home run. I think he threw 1-2 fastballs inside, and he looked for it that one time. Sometimes he gets into patterns as a pitcher.
Missed again. Well, all pitchers try not to do that, don't they? But I guess they're like anybody else. They're programmed for certain situations.
Well, what I tried to do as a catcher is I would try to remember what I called to the hitters last time up and try to stay out of rhythms and try to stay out what I called the last time, because to get into patterns, hitters look for that, and they look for certain pitches in certain counts in certain situations.
3-1 pitch. Chopper. They're not going to get 2, I wouldn't think, unless it's right on the bag. Nope. They get the out at second, but that'll be it. No chance for a double play.
I think he surprised FURCAL there, flipping the ball to him. I don't think he was looking for it. Kind of made a backhand flip to him. Yeah, he threw it up. That was a good play by FURCAL to grab that ball, because it looks like he didn't even look the ball into his glove. He barehanded and flipped. It looked like he wasn't even looking for the ball right there. It was a great play.
Now the batter is Marlon Anderson, doubled to the gap in left center, first time up. Marlon's 8 for 24 lifetime facing Tom Glavine.
Marlon Anderson does a great job facing left-handed hitters. He stays in there against lefties. He doesn't pull off the ball. And usually when you see a left-handed hitter hitting well against left-handed pitchers, they stay in there on the breaking ball and on the fastball inside. What lefties will try to do is try to get the left-handed hitters off the plate and then come back away with sliders and breaking balls.
Strike. Marlon's also the Phillies' best daytime hitter. 345 is his daytime average.
Well, you know what happens? A lot of hitters in the daytime, you see the whole ball. In the daytime and at night, from the lights being high, you see the top of the baseball. So a lot of guys in day games, they see the whole ball, so they see rotation better and they hit better.
Chopper. Lockhart steps on second, throws to first, and this time he gets the double play. Phillies out, no runs, no hits, 1 error, nobody left on base. Phils lead the Braves 2-1. It is here in Atlanta, maybe a little hot, you know, but you expect that. I mean, this is Georgia and it's July.
Well, you sit in that sun for a while. I sat out there. I have a couple friends here, and I sat out there a little earlier, and it's pretty toasty in the sun.
A little toasty, huh? I understand the Phils are heading right back into that as they go home. It's going to be toasty in Philadelphia for the next couple of days. Vincente Padilla put him down in turn. He got that double play off the bat of Glavine to end the 4th, and then he set him down 1, 2, 3 in the 5th. So he's holding a 2-1 lead, and at this moment pitching his best baseball of the afternoon. Chipper Jones has singled and walked. Off the glove of Padilla. Marlon Anderson hurries, dropped at first base. Safe at first base is Chipper Jones. Well, they have to score that one a hit because Marlon was really hurrying to get that throw over there.
Well, this is one where he should have let the ball go. The other one, he made a great play on FURCAL, which he needed to make. Here, he should have just let the ball go, and it would have been an easy play for Marlon Anderson. Instead, it hits off his glove, and then Marlon's got to rush to make the throw, and he's safe at first base. Marlon has to get rid of this ball quick, and you know, there's not much he can do there. He's trying to get it and get rid of it, and you know, he's just got to try to make a good throw there, but he has to hurry it to try to get the guy out.
Hit number 4 for Atlanta. Andrew Jones takes ball 1. Andrew hit into a double play last time up after being hit by a pitch in the face his first time.
A lot of times that'll affect the pitcher mentally. After he hits a guy in the face, he's afraid to go inside, afraid to pitch inside again, and it hasn't seemed to affect Padilla that much today.
Well, that's got to be a sinking feeling, though.
Yeah, see,
to hit somebody with that ball.
He might have a problem here trying to throw in, and you see how he yanked that ball to the outside corner of the plate right there. A lot of times after you hit a guy in the face, which he didn't try to do, but it affects you mentally, and you have to come back, and the catcher has to let him know that don't worry about it, you could still throw inside. Robert Person earlier in the year hit someone, and it affected him mentally, and he wouldn't throw inside after that.
Pitch over for a strike. So those are the kinds of things that a catcher has to go out and remind the pitcher about to keep him focused.
Exactly. You know, after you hit a guy, I'm telling you, a lot of pitchers will not go back inside. They just want to stay in the outside corner, and then the hitters start to look outside, and that's when you get hit hard.
Did you enjoy running the ball game and sort of being a coach on the field?
Well, when I didn't play that often, so when I got an opportunity to play, I wanted to do my job defensively. That was more important than going out and getting hits. You only hit 4 times, but you're behind the plate for 9 innings for 100 and something pitches.
Kerry Lightenberg up in the Atlanta bullpen. They're thinking about a big inning here because Glavine would bat 6th in the inning. And since Chipper got on to lead it off, they want to be ready. Andrew Jones misses a high fastball. Blocked at 94.
Ken Griffey used to call me NFL player because I used to play every Sunday. Good high fastball right there. He used to call me Johnny NFL because I used to play every Sunday. So.
Very high infield pop-up. Short center field. Rollins taking charge, and he drops it. Play to second base. They'll get the out there.
That looked like it was going to be a tough play right off the bat. It's a high sky, a blue sky. It's always tough for the infielders to make these plays, especially when you're going backwards. And here's Jimmy looking up. You can tell it's tough. That's a tough play right there. And luckily, he got the out at second base.
Any thought of the Phillies doing this intentionally must be dismissed, because the exchange of base runners is not what the Phillies want. Andrew Jones being a better runner out there than Chipper.
Exactly. You know, when the sky's high like this, it's always tough for pop-ups, and it's especially tough for catchers because as a catcher, the ball's coming back to you. It's even tougher on pop-ups for catchers.
Vinny Castilla, first pitch swinging, as is his wont. Fouls it off. He's grounded twice today to Marlon Anderson, once into a fielder's choice.
That's a good pitch right there. Slider, first pitch. You know, he looks dead red fastball, first pitch. They throw a slider in there, and he pulls off it for a strike. You know, you would think he would make an adjustment and start to look for breaking balls first pitch and look for sliders. But
hey, you're talking about Vinny Castilla.
He just
wait a minute.
Continues to look for the fastball. It's amazing.
Well, you know what's more amazing is the fact that he gets some. Why would you throw him a fastball?
I know. He's a great fastball hitter, and no matter what the count is, that's what he looks for. He looks for the fastball. I'm sure Terry Pendleton, as his hitting coach, has to tell him that, you know, every once in a while you can look out over on first pitch for a slider, because all the reports are first ball, fastball hitter.
Foul back. What a nice man Terry Pendleton. Gotten to know him over the years, and he's really a super guy. Glad to see him at the major league level as a coach now. That's terrific.
Yeah, you want your hitting coach to have fire, and he has fire. He wants all his players to do well. And you know, when I was a player in the big leagues, you always wanted your hitting coach to be on your side, and most of them are. They just want to see you succeed and work real hard with you.
Pop foul. Is that coming in here? Just missed.
Man, I almost got a chance to make my play since '98. It's the first major league ball I would have had hit towards me.
We would have seen whether you've got the kind of hands I've heard you had or not.
Man, that would have been fun.
That was almost in our laps. We were covering up my granddaughter is in the back of the booth here, Alyssa. We had to get her out of the way on that one.
I won't let her get hit, that's for sure. I'll tell you, the hardest part about retiring is just coming out to the ballpark and watching BP and getting a chance to see guys play and coming into the ballpark, old players that I used to play with. And you know, it's hard for guys to take that uniform off once you play, and you miss competing, you miss going out and playing every day and taking BP and the camaraderie with the players you used to play with. It's always hard.
Yes, it is. It's an adjustment. Castilla striking out. Strikeout number 2 for Vinny Padilla. Vincente Padilla, I should accurately call him.
Now, if I'm looking at the right here, he has a lot of confidence in his fastball, because if you throw Vinny Castilla a fastball right there, he has confidence. He's throwing 94 miles an hour. He feels pretty good about himself right now, and that's a good sign, because he's got 86 pitches and he's still throwing 94, 95 miles an hour, which is great.
It was a slow start for Padilla today, but he's kind of settled into it now, and he has the lead. Javier Lopez. Breaking ball for a strike.
You know, he came in as try to be a number 5 starter, and now he's a number 1. What I'd like to see him do this offseason is have a regimen like he's a number 1 starter. You know, I caught guys like Roger Clemens and Randy Johnson, and their offseason workout program is incredible. They work so hard in order to maintain April through September and October, and that's what he's going to need to do this offseason, is work a little bit harder on his physical conditioning as well as his arm and his mental conditioning.
The decision has already been made that he won't pitch winter ball, so
I think that's
a plus right there.
I think that's a great decision, because what happens is they go to winter ball, and with an arm that he has, they're just going to throw him and throw him and throw him, and what he needs to do is get his midsection in shape, his lower back, his legs, because that's what you need in order to pitch the full year round.
Fastball in, 1 ball, 2 strikes to Javier Lopez.
I used to run with Roger Clemens at 6 o'clock in the morning, and he used to run like 4 or 5 miles and do a lot of sit-ups and a lot of push-ups. And he goes, John, I'm not doing this for April. He goes, I'm doing this for October, September and October, hopefully. And that's what you do all the hard work for in the off-season and in spring training. You don't do it for April and May. You do it for August and September.
Clemens had a big effect on the career of Curt Schilling, and he sent you right into the broadcast booth.
He is an unbelievable worker, and what happens is when you have a guy like Clemens or a guy like Schilling, he rubs off on the other pitchers on the staff and tells them how they have to work, what they have to do in order to be successful at the major league level. That's why you see guys here in Atlanta, starters come here and all of a sudden they do well. Guys go to New York and all of a sudden they do well. In Arizona, they get young kids, they come up and they do well because you have guys at the top, the superstar pitchers, that are talking to these guys, telling them to work hard, telling them to focus and concentrate. And I think that's what the Phillies are going to need, somebody to really pick it up and tell these guys, look, this offseason, go out and work hard so we can be a championship team next year.
Time was called. That pitch doesn't count. Let's pause for station identification. This is the Phillies Television Network.
You're watching UPN 57 WPSG TV in Philadelphia.
Padilla facing Javier Lopez here. The Phillies lead at 2-1. We're in the bottom half of the 6th inning. Both the Phillies and the Braves will enjoy an off day tomorrow and get back to work on Tuesday. The Braves are in a 9-game homestand right now. And a little indecision here.
I think that he called timeout late and he threw a breaking ball, and what Lieberthal is probably doing is going out there saying don't throw another breaking ball. I think Padilla wanted to throw another breaking ball, and after seeing him throw that one after they called timeout, I think Lieberthal wants to go with a fastball or something different because he's already seen the breaking ball even though they called timeout.
Keeping track of Andrew Jones, the runner at first. Here's a ball lined to right field. Could be trouble. It is trouble. It's a ground rule double, and actually that helps the Phillies because I think Andrew Jones had a good chance of scoring, but he will be put back at third base.
Well, here's a cat and mouse game that the pitcher and catcher and the hitter play. He threw the breaking ball and then he called timeout. They come back with a fastball on the outside corner, and he's looking for it. Javi Lopez, he's looking all over the fastball, up and away. And sometimes a hitter will know that. After a guy calls timeout, he just throw a breaking ball. He's saying he's not going to throw that pitch again. He's probably going to come back with a fastball, and he did. And I could see Padilla right now. He's not real happy that he threw that fastball. I think he wanted to come back with another breaking ball.
Larry Boa on his way to the hill. You've got runners at first and third.
Well, you have Keith Lockhart coming up. He's talking about whether he wants to face the pinch hitter, which they're probably going to have, or Lockhart with the base open.
Looks like Darren Bragg is going to be the pinch hitter. Or is he? You know, he's going to bat for Glavine. He's out there to bat for Glavine.
Yeah, Lockhart's up, and they're probably having a discussion whether they want to go after Lockhart or whether they want to face Braggy right now. And what I would try to do as a catcher is pitch to him, but not give him anything to hit, make him fish for your pitches, and then, you know, if you happen to walk him, you walk him, and then you go after Braggy next to it. But you don't want to throw a fastball down the middle. You want to try to pitch around him, but make him chase your pitch. Throw your best pitches right here because you have the base open.
That's in for a strike. Sometimes that strategy is harder to pull off, though. You know, if you make a mistake in the strike zone, the hitter's there ready to swing.
It's a tough thing to do mentally for a pitcher. I think pitchers would rather put a guy on, walk him on 4 pitches instead of trying to pitch around a guy. I've seen so many mistakes made that way.
Lockhart quickly in the hole, no balls and 2 strikes. Keith has walked and singled today.
You know what else bothers me sometimes? A situation like this, you get 0-2, and pitchers try to waste pitches or set up pitches. I see more setup pitches either be hit for base hits or out of the ballpark. What I tell guys, 0-2, let's get the guy out. Let's go right after him, because a lot of hitters are looking for you to waste a pitch, and sometimes you'll throw the ball down the middle. If you got a guy 0-2, go after him, get him out.
And you certainly don't want one on the dirt with a runner at third base.
Well, Lieberthal's been doing a great job behind the plate at blocking balls, so I'm sure the pitchers have a lot of confidence that they can throw a ball in the dirt.
Fly ball, but it'll be foul and out of play. Now, Levy was really tested in the game here Friday night, especially in that 9th inning when the Phillies were clinging to a 1-run lead. Nobody's hitting with runners in scoring position today.
Let's keep it that way right here.
Absolutely.
I would try to throw a fastball here up over his hands. Throw a fastball up and out of the zone. That's what he's been going with, his fastball. So I try to throw him a fastball up and out of the zone right here and have him chase.
Padilla's about to make his 25th pitch of the inning. He had an easy 4th and 5th, but he's not having an easy time of it here in the 6th.
He went with the fastball up. If he got a little bit up, I think he would have had a strikeout right there. Sometimes what you want to do is try to climb the ladder 0-2. Now I would try to throw him another fastball up and out of the zone, because you know left-handed hitters, they love the ball down and in, so you want to try to stay away from that. Try to stay up and out of the zone here with a fastball 0-2, a little bit higher than the last one.
95 pitches total for Padilla, 56 of which have been strikes. Another conversation with Lieberthal, and the Atlanta fans are not happy about that. We had a nice visit before the game with Mary Sue Stiles. She used to be the ball girl at one time in Philadelphia, and Mary Sue's son is the guest PA announcer today, Ben Owens. And Mary Sue wanted us to say hi to Mom and Dad back in Stratford, New Jersey. Mary Sue was the ball girl from 1974 through 1980.
I think that's a great job by Padilla. You want to make sure you throw the right pitch. This is a key situation in the game. You call Lieberthal out. That shows me some maturity on his behalf.
Away, 1-2.
There's another fastball up. It's a good choice.
Now they've got, as we mentioned, Darren Bragg in the on-deck circle to hit for Glavine. If Glavine's turn does not come up, do you look for him to come out and face the Phillies in the 7th?
I don't think so. He's got a lot of pitches. They might take him out of the ball game.
He chased one, and he is angry with himself. Lockhart strikes out. The 3rd strikeout for Padilla, 2 of them this inning. So in the 6th, no harm done. No runs, 2 hits, and 2 men left on base. Thanks to John Marzano, Joe Kerrigan back in the 7th inning. It's 2-1 Phillies. And the Phillies hold a 2-1 lead. Vincente Padilla has gone 6 innings so far. Although he's hit 2 batters, he's stayed out of trouble. Scott Rolen and Doug Glanville with homers for the Phillies to account for their runs. Tommy Glavine is back out there to start the 7th inning. And the Braves got their only run on RAFAEL FURCAL's groundout. So they were prepared to pinch hit for Glavine, but he's going to the hill. And you know, we talked about Glanville's home run, and that is the last hit he has given up. That was leading off the 3rd inning. He did not give up a hit the rest of the 3rd, nothing in the 4th, nothing in the 5th, and nothing in the 6th. So we're in one of those dangerous situations here where the Phillies have the lead, but they have not only been sitting on it, but they have not even gotten a hit since they took the lead. Doug Glanville, so happy to be playing again. I had a nice conversation with Doug on Friday, and he would like to play more. There's no doubt about that, and I don't think, but he's not anybody that's going to raise any trouble about it. But he's happy to be in there and contribute. Mike Lieberthal will start the inning. Mike has flied to left and reached base on an error by Castilla. Vincente Padilla due to bat 4th in the inning, and the Phillies will be ready to hit for him. Tom Glavine stays away. Nothing unusual about that. Lieberthal, a .343 lifetime hitter off Tom. Joe Kerrigan back alongside now. There's a strike, 1-1. When they had Bragg out there to pinch hit for him, were you surprised that they are allowing Glavine to continue?
I think pretty much it's Glavine's decision. I think Tommy's been around long enough. He knows if he's got another inning in him.
Even though the pitch count's getting up there, 104 pitches for him at this point.
But he's not a guy that labors to throw the ball. It's almost like he plays catch in his backyard when he's pitching.
He's never had a serious arm problem. He does have 2 bad ankles. He can't do his sprints. He rides the bike. But he has strong legs, even though the ankles are weak. Here's a line smash to the alley in left center field. Let's see what Levy gets out of this. He takes the turn. He heads for second. He's there. Leadoff double for Mike Lieberthal in the 7th inning.
Lieberthal gets a fastball out over the plate. Glavine with an 85 mile an hour fastball there. And you could see that ball maybe coming back a little bit too much over the plate.
Well, we used the old reverse black cat to get that hit for Levy. Talking about how the Phillies didn't have a hit since Glanville's homer in the third. Phillies lead the National League in extra base hits. They also lead in doubles. Travis Lee takes ball one. Travis has struck out and grounded into a fielder's choice.
It's a big insurance run here, Andy.
Wouldn't it be?
Got to do the little things here. Got to get the runner over somehow. Anyway.
Real Cormier warming. Travis bunts it, but Glavine catches in the air. Play to second. Out. Bunt double play. The worst thing that could have happened.
We talked about the little things, trying to advance the runner over from second to third, and the Braves would be forced to play their infield in. Travis Lee, who is not used to bunting in this situation, maybe he didn't feel he could pull Glavine in this situation, so he opts to bunt. And Glavine, being the great fielder that he is, hasn't made an error since '99. We talked about that earlier. And he is aware of what's going around him, and probably Javi Lopez is yelling second, second, second.
The Braves lead the National League in turning double plays. That is 115 for them. Marlon Anderson with Jason Michaels in the on-deck circle. Anderson has doubled and hit into a double play. Jason Michaels ready to hit for Padilla.
You know, Andy, you watch him pitch, he's almost boring. you know what he's going to do, and he does it time after time. He commits to his plan. He never gets away from it.
He's fun to watch. I mean, you talk about boring. I know what you mean. Do you think there's a chance the Braves will be able to sign both Maddox and Glavine?
I just can't imagine the Braves without Tommy Glavine's name attached to it. And for that matter, Maddox.
They both want to stay here. We'll see about modern baseball economics. There's a broken. Look at Marlon carrying the handle of that bat down to first base. Well, that double play really hurts, doesn't it?
It sure does. And again, we talked about when you play the Braves, you must execute the little things. Glavine with a fastball in on the hands of Anderson. You see that ball is not where it's supposed to be. It's out over the plate, coming back towards the hitter. Anderson leaning in towards the plate, and hence your broken bat.
Jason Michaels up there to hit now for the Phillies. Jason batting .304, 2 homers, 10 RBIs, 8 pinch hits to lead the ball club. He's 8 for 32, including a pinch homer.
Glavine up to 112 pitches now.
He's due to lead off the bottom half, so there's no doubt that this is it. Michaels doing a real good job for the Phillies as a pinch hitter, even though he's a younger player, and this role of pinch hitting doesn't normally go to a younger player. He's only 26. A 4th round draft choice by the Phillies in '98. Made his major league debut a year ago when he had only 6 at bats. And Tommy stays away. Next pitcher for the Phillies will be Cormier. There's the lefty warming up. Glavine has a pickoff today. He was able to get Burrell at second base in the 3rd inning.
This is a tough situation to send a runner 2 outs and you have the pitcher spot up.
Yeah, you lose your pinch hitter on it.
Yeah, it's almost like having to use 2 men in one position here.
2 balls and a strike on Jason. Michaels 6 feet tall, 204 pounds. Bat goes flying over the dugout, but it didn't hurt anybody. There's a happy guy. He's got a bat, and he doesn't have any kind of an injury to. Watch this.
Tommy Glavine with a changeup. You see this a lot with young hitters against Glavine, or even with the Pedro Martinez with his type of changeup. You'll see that bat go flying.
The scoreboard says bats may leave the hitter's hands and enter the stands rapidly. Just put a sign up. They can't put that sign up fast enough to warn you. Ball 3. Now you can start him.
You know, Andy, in Japan, they have this netting all the way around the ballpark from foul line to foul line. So when that does happen, the fans are not involved with that, or line drives or foul balls down the line. And I know Major League Baseball has talked about doing that in their ballparks.
Hockey is going to go to a further netting this year. All I can tell you is that many times we have broadcast spring training games from booths amazing. Where they have those nets, and it's tough to see. Ball 4. A pinch walk for Jason Michaels. Walk number 3 issued by Glavine. And Doug Glanville will be coming up. This is what Padilla did today. 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, 2 hit batters, we might mention, and a total of 97 pitches.
And Padilla was 2 different pitchers today. The first 2 innings, 42 pitches, looked sluggish. His tempo was poor. His body language wasn't that good, but boy, did he turn it on the last 4 innings.
Remlinger is up for the Braves. Glanville struck out looking last time up there. He has singled and homered today. His first home run since May 11th. And Doug also with a stolen base. So he's made quite a contribution to this one today.
It's 120 pitches for Glavine. And he's still trying to get that ball away.
What's his high for the year? Do we have that? He doesn't often. I know it's way above his average. 119 was his high for the year prior to that delivery. But it's like you said, though, he doesn't. That's a close one, right? He doesn't abuse his body with his pitches. I mean, so
very much effort-free delivery. Now, I believe Glavine's a little upset here with this umpire. You don't see Glavine show this kind of emotion on the mound. Very stone-faced, very emotionalist, especially when it comes to the umpires. But I believe he's upset about the last 2 pitches.
Bobby's got his cap off, so look out. That's when he does that to let the steam blow out. And Javier Lopez was smart to go out and recognize that and go out and talk. Way above his average today. Strike 1. We showed you Remlinger in the bullpen. Kerry Lightenberg is also up out there.
You know, Andy, sometimes they'll say, well, how's the manager allowing him to throw this many pitches? You know, the next time out he might go on 6 days. Now take it easy with a short bullpen session in between.
3-1 pitch coming. Glanville fouls it back. Now once again the Phillies will get their runners in motion. Here's an inning where the bunt double play seemed to take the Phillies out of the inning, but they've kept on hacking, got a single and a walk. And a runner in scoring position here with 2 down, and going to get the extra advantage of the runner being in motion.
And Glanville 2 for 3 already today off of Glavine.
And Tommy Glavine obviously tiring, no matter how he throws. Ball 4, he walked him. How about that? Glavine with 4 walks on the day. The bases are loaded. Do you look for Coxey to come out here?
I think so. I think you might see a change here.
Hate to see a guy that's done as much for you as Glavine has struggled. They're trying to nurse him through the inning simply because he's due to bad leadoff in the bottom half, but they could make a double switch if they wanted to.
But Leo Mazzoni, the pitching coach, coming out, so it won't be a change. Maybe they give it a little 20-second timeout here just so Glavine can catch his breath.
It's not a charge timeout?
No, just a 20-second timeout. Okay. Leo Mazzoni, the great pitching coach for the Atlanta Braves, a huge Notre Dame football fan.
Is he?
Oh.
Tommy Glavine, look at that, 124 pitches. Now, he only went 5 1/3 innings in his last start, so maybe that's why they're letting him go a little longer today.
You're right. He hasn't been taxed in his last few starts. I believe his last 4 starts, he's only averaged a little over 4 or 5 innings per start.
He went 6 starts without a win this year, believe it or not, between June 16th and July 13th. Here's a bunt try to surprise him. And he's safe, and the Phillies get a run. Here's another guy. He slides and scores. Phillies get 2. Can you believe that play? 4-1 Phillies on a bunt.
Rollins with a surprise push bunt here. I think he caught Glavine off guard because Glavine thought that the ball was close to first base, where it could be taken alone by the first baseman.
Boy, the Phillies with the surprise of the series. Watch this play again now.
Here's Rollins with a real surprise move here. Glavine comes in and then decides to break. But now the first baseman is looking for his pitcher, and he's not there.
And that's the second time today that Glavine did not come at first. So the Phillies get 1 run out of it, and then racing for the plate and scoring is Jason Michaels. That was heads up by Michaels and heads up by John Vukovich, third base coach. It's a base hit and an RBI, and the second run scores on a fielder's choice. How about that? Well, you see a little something different every time, don't you?
Jimmy Rollins getting it done any way you can.
Rollins with an RBI is 38. Up there now is Bobby Abreu, 0 for 3 for the afternoon, and the Phillies lead this game 4-1 against Tom Glavine.
You know, by Glavine breaking in and making that false step towards home plate, trying to read the bunt, cost him those steps that he needed to get Rollins at the bag.
3-0 now on Abreu, and this is interesting because even a veteran pitcher like Tom Glavine can be rattled by a play like that.
By a play like that, and I believe those calls that the umpire, or lack of calls he was getting from the umpire earlier in this inning.
Right, no question. Strike. 3-1 on Abreu. The 7th batter to come to the plate for the inning, and for the Phillies in the inning, an inning that included the double play. It's amazing.
2 outs, nobody on.
Jimmy Rollins not hitting much lately, but he won Friday's game with a home run, and he makes a big contribution here with that surprise bunt single, on which the Phillies get 2. He gets 1 RBI. Little topper. It's a foul ball.
Tommy Glavine with 130 pitches. This is throwback baseball, Andy.
It is. They're wearing their 74 uniforms, are the Braves. The Phillies are wearing their 1980 uniforms. And I guess in those days they made a lot of pitches, huh?
71 strikes out of those 130 pitches.
Hard ground ball, base hit. Coming around to score is Doug Glanville. Phillies lead it 5-1. Bobby Abreu with an opposite fielder to knock in another run, and that'll be it for Tommy Glavine. He's going to leave the ball game.
Bobby Abreu was a real good at bat here against Glavine. Glavine tries to paint him away with 2 strikes, and Abreu just goes the other way, doesn't try to pull him. Here you see Lopez sitting up outside. It's that little cutter again, and Abreu doesn't try to pull him.
Braves are making a double switch, bringing Mark DeRosa into the ball game to play at second base as they bring on a new hurler here. And Glavine is still responsible for 2 runners on base, and he has as he walks off the mound, a very unlike Glavine line that we'll show you here. Tommy Glavine giving up 5 runs on 8 hits, all earned runs, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts, and 2 home runs. So we've got a pitching change. It's 5-1 Phillies, and we'll be back shortly. The Braves are calling on Kerry Lightenberg to try to get the last out of this inning. A surprising turn of events here very, very quickly. There's a look at what Lightenberg has done. And Joe, what do we know about Kerry?
Lightenberg, another one of their horses out of the bullpen. Very low ERA. You can see that 2.06. Very good hits. 34 hits to 43 innings pitched. And an excellent strikeout to inning ratio, and he's very tough on lefties and righties.
He has been a closer in the past. He had 30 saves back in '98. 99 then, though he was out all season after Tommy John surgery following a spring training injury. 31 years of age. Atlanta Braves with the best bullpen in baseball. How about that? 2.19 out of the bullpen. Well, Pat Burrell's coming up for the Phillies, and he is the 8th batter to appear at the plate in this inning. And the Phillies have a 4-run lead.
It's amazing, Andy. This inning starts with a double, then a double play. 2 outs, nobody on. Boom, boom, boom. Amazing.
From that point on, it's gone single, walk, walk, bunt single to score 2, and RBI single to the opposite field by Abreu. Surprise of the inning, Jimmy Rollins bunting. Burrell chasing, no balls and 2 strikes.
You know, this Atlanta Braves staff is a real good test for hitters, because they're going to find out whether you're pulling off the ball or not. And they're going to play keep away, keep away, keep away, and you better have some discipline up at the plate to take the ball the other way. Because if you come into this series in a pull mode, you're going to be in trouble.
Runner goes, pitches high, there will be no throw. That'll be a stolen base for Abreu, his 21st.
Lightenberg with a high leg kick, and I don't think the Braves are concerned too much about this base runner. I think they're interested in just closing this inning out here.
They've been interested in that for about 5 or 6 batters now, haven't they? Here's an infield pop, foul ground. Castilla over, makes the play. Burrell fouls out to end it, but the Phillies sent 8 men to the plate, picking up 3 runs in the inning, 4 hits, and 2 men left on base. Stretch time here, and the Phillies are ahead by a nice margin. Our Dodge Stump the Fan trivia question today was, who's the only player ever to pinch hit for Hank Aaron? And the answer is Mike Lum. The Phillies fan with the correct answer first round was Alex and Stephanie Potter from Norwood, Pennsylvania. Congratulations to the Potters. You're the winners of 2 tickets to a Phillies game, and thanks for playing Dodge Stump the Fan. Congratulations to Harry Kalas going in the Hall of Fame today. New pitcher for the Braves will be Albie Lopez. We've got more remarks coming up from Harry here. Harry, as you know, has always been high on the fans, and here's what he had to say about Philadelphia sports fans today.
And to the most passionate sports fans in America, the Philadelphia fans. I have written a brief poem to you beautiful fans. This is to the Philadelphia fan, to laud your passion as best I can. Your loyalty is unsurpassed. Be the fightins in first or last. We come to the park each day looking forward to another fray. Because we know you'll be there. We know you really care. You give the opposing pitcher fits, because as one loyalist shouts, everybody hits. To be sure, in Philly, there might be some boos, because you passionate fans, like the manager, hate to lose. Your reaction to the action on the field that you impart spurs us as broadcasters to call the game with enthusiasm and heart. We feel your passion through and through. Philadelphia fans, I love you.
Very nice from Harry Kalas. You knew he'd have something great to say about the Philly fans, because there is a love affair between the fans and Harry.
There sure is.
Tomas Perez getting a base hit to start the inning. saw that while Harry was speaking. And now we've got Glanville up there, who's been a big factor in this ball game. His home run in the third gave the Phillies the lead, which they have not relinquished. He's 2 out of 3 with a walk. Facing Albie Lopez, we got to talk a little about him, because this guy is listed at 30 years of age. Another guy that may be a little older than that.
Albie Lopez was with the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, had a couple good seasons down there, and was traded last year at Arizona.
A pop-up, late start by Javier Lopez, and he was not going to have a play. Some people have said that if somebody is desperate for a starter as the trading deadline approaches, this guy would be available, and has been a starter most of his career.
Yeah, he has. You know, he did start 4 games for the Braves this season, Andy, but didn't have a whole lot of luck. And really, he is the only guy on the staff that has a high ERA in the 4s.
Glanville, chip shot, short center. He's got himself another hit. Tomas Perez knew it was going to fall in, and he goes into third, and the ball gets free, and that allows Glanville to take second. Going to be an error on the play, and the Phillies have runners second and third, nobody out. How about Glanville on base 4 times today?
Good piece of hit, and he gets a 2-strike slider here out over the plate. Doesn't try to do too much on it, just make contact. And a great piece of base running by Perez. Reading the ball right off the bat, knows that nobody has a chance to catch the ball. Perez very aggressive on the base pass, very smart base runner. Really loves to run the bases. It's fun running the bases.
Doug's at second base. The error will be charged to Andrew Jones, the center fielder. Doug Glanville with 2 3-hit games this year, and they have both come on this trip. Now the Braves bring the infield in. They are right at the edge of the grass. Jimmy Rollins, who takes the full swing and fouls it off. Jimmy's bunt hit the last time up was actually the key play in this ball game. I mean, the Phillies were ahead 2-1 at the time, but to get these extra runs makes it awfully important.
And a real surprise, Andy, right out of the blue, just a bunt, a push bunt. Caught everybody off guard.
A little looper back of third. Castillo was playing in. It's a foul ball. He was not going to be able to catch it, that was for sure. It didn't have a lot of loft on it, and he was playing shallow, as we mentioned, so there was no chance for him to catch that. It was just a question of whether it would drop fair.
In this situation, you'll see the pitcher and the catcher a lot of times try to throw the fastball in with the drawled in infield. You do not want the ball hit hard. You do not want the hitter to extend his arms out over the plate to get a sacrifice fly. Hence, you try to jam them. That's where most of your pop-ups or soft ground balls come from.
Inside, 1-2 the count on Jimmy.
And probably the worst pitch to throw in this situation is a changeup. Did you see the fastball in? Because the changeup really is a fly ball pitch. The hitter will get fooled out on his front foot, and he'll still be able to lift the ball in the air. And unless, of course, you're Tommy Glavine, who's got a great changeup.
Tommy Glavine developed his changeup by tossing in the outfield. Accidentally one day, he picked up a ball and threw it right away to a teammate, and he didn't have the grip that he normally had, and he threw the ball hard, but it didn't go anywhere. And that's the way he started to work on that changeup.
Amazing story.
It is.
It is a great story. And pitchers are always playing around with grips in the outfield during batting practice. Could be a split finger grip for a changeup. It could be Pedro's grip. It could be a 3-finger grip. It could be a circle change.
Here's a base hit. Jimmy Rollins drives in 2 more. And the Braves a little confused in the outfield there, and Rollins has himself a double, and the Phillies have a 7-1 lead. 3 RBIs on the day for Jimmy Rollins.
Jimmy Rollins almost taking this ball game over all by himself with the last 2 at bats. Again, they try to throw the fastball in, but Lopez commits a mortal sin there. Low and into a left-hander is not a good place to throw. You want to try to elevate that ball in there so he can pop it up, and that's what happens when you miss or make a physical mistake.
Well, that's a happy dugout of fighting Phillies today. Bobby Abreu coming up. He's 1 for 4. Well, the Phillies have to win, don't they, on Harry Callis Day in Cooperstown? I mean, it wouldn't be any other, nothing else would be appropriate.
Very much so.
Although I must mention, Phillies did not win on Richie Ashburn, Mike Schmidt Day at Cooperstown.
Is that right?
Oh, they played a brutal ball game in Chicago that day. I'm getting this secondhand, of course, because Harry and Wheels and I were up there at Cooperstown. But the fill-in broadcasters on that occasion, one of whom was my dear and good friend Whitey Rigsby, came back and told me, boy, that was a good day for you guys to miss. Jimmy Deshaies started that game for the Phillies and never threw another pitch in a Phillies uniform. That sent him right to the Houston broadcast booth.
It gives a chance for the manager, Larry Bowe, to relax a little bit, too. Phillies have an off day tomorrow. It's always nice to go into an off day with a win. Makes a plane ride back home that much better.
Plane ride home will seem strange in another way, too. Harry Callis will not be sitting in the seat farthest back. He's always right by the restroom. I know because I visit there a lot.
In the rear of the plane.
And Harry keeps score on me. Yeah. Well, you don't think I got a seat up front, do you?
No.
2-2 on Abreu. Little tapper in the infield. Lockhart makes the play over to first. Moving over to third base, Jimmy Rollins. Believe it or not, that's the first out of the inning.
Braves will have to bring their infield up again. When you're behind this much in a game, 6 runs, you don't concede anything. Even though you're down to your final 3 outs on offense, you just don't concede anything to the enemy.
Pat Burrell has had a very tough series here. 0 for 5 yesterday with 4 strikeouts. 0 for 4 on Friday night, including a ground ball double play. And 0 for 3 today. What would be the odds of the Phillies taking 2 out of 3 from Atlanta with no contribution from Burrell?
And Maddox and Glavine pitching back-to-back days.
Yeah. That's why this is such a wonderful game. You cannot program it. Got to play it out.
The only trends are that there are no trends.
Yeah. Bobby Cox, he's seen it all in his day. What a great skipper he is.
He sure is, and a very nice man.
He is a terrific guy. A great race car fan. Did you know that? Stock car fan?
Had the opportunity to go to Japan with him in the Major League All-Stars 2 years ago when we toured Japan after the season. He was the manager. John Vukovic, myself, and Cito Gaston were coaches over there. Quite an experience.
I said to him the other day, I said, Bobby, I'm a little nervous about doing these games. I haven't done any games all year. Oh, he said, it's like riding a bicycle. He said, just don't worry about it. 3-1 pitch. Infield in. Burrell looking at an RBI here if he can loft the ball somewhere.
You know, Andy, this is a good tune-up for Burrell because, you know, the Braves play keep away most of the time, and certainly they've played keep away with Burrell during these 3 days. So it's a good idea to go back and give your mechanics maybe, or see what you're doing, a little tune-up, because obviously he's had a little trouble covering the outer half here.
Uh-oh, right on the inside corner. A strikeout for Lopez, his first, and Pat strikes out, called for the second time today.
There's the old set up away, throw it in. That's what you call a nice miss by the pitcher.
When you're going bad, that kind of thing happens. So Pat sits down, and Scott Rowland will bat. Scott with a home run his first time up today. Then he walked, and then he has struck out and grounded out. That makes him 1 for 3. 7-1 Phillies in the 9th. Now the question is, will they let Adams go ahead and finish it out, or do you bring Mesa in a no-pressure situation when he struggled in no-pressure situations?
I'm sitting in the dugout. I'd probably like to see Adams pitch one more inning just to get him used into the bullpen role. It's only his 3rd game as a reliever.
Away, 2 balls and 1 strike on ROLEN.
Boy, Andy, this umpire, he's not going to give in either. He's like Glavine. He's not going to call that pitch a half a ball width or a ball width off the plate.
Gets a fastball, does ROLEN, and he swings through it 2-2. Albie Lopez, 6'2", 240 pounds. He was drafted by Cleveland in the 2nd round of the '91 draft. He's played for Cleveland, Tampa Bay, and Arizona. Scott Rowland strikes out. So Lopez comes in to give up a couple of runs, but he also finishes with 2 strikeouts. For the Phillies, 2 runs, 3 hits. There was an error, and 1 man left. And we are back in Atlanta, where the Phillies will try to nail it down. They have a 7-1 lead going to the bottom half of the 9th inning. 12 hits for the Phillies, their highest total in the series, and not too many teams get 12 hits off the Braves pitching staff. Darren Bragg going to bat for the Atlanta Braves against Terry Adams, who will answer the call here in the 9th.
Andy, if I may, I'd like to take this time to thank you. Show a novice like myself the ropes. I appreciate it very much.
Attaboy, Joe, you did a nice job. I've enjoyed working with Joe Kerrigan and John Marzano this weekend, and we're filling in for the whole crew. Tuesday night, when the regular crew is back, you'll be listening to a Hall of Fame announcer when Harry takes the seat again. Bragg at 267, a homer, 7 runs batted in. 2 for 30 as a pinch hitter. He's obviously been a better player when they've had him in the lineup than when they send him up like this. Braves to be dealt with here in the 9th. Bragg, DeRosa, and FURCAL. Joe, we'll be watching you on those post-game shows. I guess we'll see you Tuesday night, right?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Myers and the Giants, and I just hope Bonds is back playing and healthy.
Unassisted. By the way, don't forget that pitching matchup Tuesday night. Kirk Reeder, the left-hander, against Brett Myers, making his 2nd Major League start and his 1st at Veterans Stadium. That'll be on Comcast Sportsnet Tuesday night at 7 o'clock with Harry Callis, Larry Anderson, Chris Wheeler. Next on UPN will be Thursday night, UPN 57 Thursday for the Phillies against the Giants, also 7 o'clock. Here's DeRosa. He's had 1 at bat in this ball game, and he got a single to left field. DeRosa stayed in then and played second. He wasn't pinch hitting. He came in under a double switch. So the Braves' streak of having not lost in 22 series is in serious jeopardy. The last time they lost a series was May 7th through 9th at Los Angeles, when they lost 2 out of 3. So the streaks of the '98 Yankees and the 1970 Reds and the 1912 Red Sox of 24 straight are no longer in jeopardy at the moment. Two balls and 2 strikes on DeRosa.
You know, Andy, I'm sitting here watching Adams pitch, and now he's going back to the stretch, even with nobody on. And if I remember correctly, when he was with the Cubs coming up, and when he threw well for the Cubs, that's what he used to do when he came out of the bullpen to be a setup man, is just throw only out of the stretch.
So many relievers are doing that these days. Joe, what was your advice to a pitcher when he talked to you about that?
I kind of liked it because you don't have to worry about too many things. You got 1 delivery. You only have a few checkpoints to worry about.
He strikes out. strikeout for Adams. What is the reason then pitchers use the windup, though? I thought you were supposed to get extra momentum by doing that, and the big leg kick and all that.
I think some guys are comfortable out of the windup, but those guys who will say that they're comfortable out of the windup have probably been starting pitchers all their lives. Or a lot of relievers will switch back and forth. You know, they'll have a good month, good 2 months. Maybe they get in a little rut, then maybe they'll go back to the windup. I saw that with Mel Rojas. John Wetland used to do that. And there's nothing wrong with that.
FURCAL is the hitter. He takes a strike. There was a famous game in Phillies history pitched by Jim Lonborg at Jarry Park in Montreal. The wind was blowing so hard that Lonnie pitched the entire 9 out of the stretch. Anyway, he could stand up straight.
Whatever feels comfortable at the time for you, whatever's working for you at the time. Rod Beck switches back and forth. Derek Lowe.
What does FURCAL need here? Different helmet. He pointed to his head. Got the wrong helmet.
Got a right-handed helmet on.
Well, that's what he gets for being a switch hitter. They're both his helmets, but he's got to remember to wear the right one.
These are the dog days.
Yeah, this is the dog game for the Braves. This is not what they had in mind coming out here today with Tommy Glavine taking the mound. Tommy Glavine has beaten the Phillies 23 times in his career, but he's going to be suffering his 9th loss at the Phillies' hands today, too.
And it's going to be a different kind of feeling for the Braves, Andy. You go 10, 11 weeks of baseball, and then all of a sudden you lose the series. You get used to winning. It's amazing.
You have to remember back at the early part of the year, even though the Braves beat the Phillies in that first series here. Hey, here's a strikeout to win the ball game. We'll talk about that thought later, if at all. Down they go in order here in the 9th. And the Phillies have taken 2 out of 3 from these Braves over the weekend to complete a very successful road trip. So the first series loss since May, 7 through 9, over 22 series for these Atlanta Braves. Meantime, Doug Glanville is our Chevrolet player of the game. His home run in the 3rd inning was the run that put the Phillies ahead to stay. He also had 3 overall hits in the game and a walk. So it's congratulations all the way around for the Phillies, who now have won 9 straight road series, or that is to say they've gone 9 straight road series without losing. So impressive work for the Phillies this weekend here in Atlanta, and it's been a pleasure to watch it. Game time today, 3 hours and 15 minutes. So the final score, Phillies beat the Braves, a 7-1 final here today to take 2 out of 3 here in Atlanta, and we'll come back and give you a wrap up in just a moment.
Good evening, everyone, from Veterans Stadium. Welcome to Phillies baseball. Final game of the series, final game of the season series, the Bills and the San Francisco Giants. Another hot one here at the Vet tonight. Harry Callis with Chris Wheeler and Larry Anderson. Bills need a win to even the season series, but it was a great win last night, Wheels.
It was, Harry. That was one of those games with a lot of strategy. It was fun for us to do. Talked to Larry Bowe about that before the game. He says, well, I'm glad you guys had a lot of laughs, because I sure didn't last night, because it was a tough game to manage. He ran out of players early because the Phillies had their starter knocked out early. Then Ricky Leday tied the game with a pinch hit home run. Jimmy Rollins hit a home run